the Icon True Crime series. John Dillinger, the After Hours Banker. Written and narrated by Geoffrey Giuliano.
Icon Audio Arts.
John Dillinger began his career of crime in Mooresville, a quiet Indiana town southwest of Indianapolis. Bred on a farm nearby, he spent his youth idling about pool rooms with other boys, one of whom, at least, had as little moral backbone as Dillinger had. That boy's name was Ed Singleton. In 1924, Dillinger was 22 years old and wanted money. In this grocery store, owned by Frank Morgan, then 65 years old, Dillinger and Singleton assaulted the old proprietor and stole his wallet. But Morgan had recognized his assailants, and Singleton turned state's evidence. Dillinger was given 10 to 20 years in the Indiana Reformatory at Pendleton. Conflicting stories are told of Dillinger here. The probably true one is that his conduct in the reformatory was so outrageous that the authorities were compelled to send him to a place where discipline was more rigorous and where prison severities might teach him the folly and futility of crime. What he learned in this new place of detention were the vicious secrets and habits of hardened criminals. This was in the penitentiary at Michigan City, where he remained until paroled in June 1933. Let us see where this arch foe of society sprang from. While his father ran this grocery store in Indianapolis in 1902, John Dillinger was born. Here, 3 years later, Dillinger's mother, considering the gorilla her son turned out to be. John Dillinger's father was, and is, a respected citizen of Morgan County. Everyone liked him, and today everyone sympathizes with him. There's nothing but sorrow ahead for the old man. His son has taken the road to doom. From the homely shelter of this little farm, John Dillinger left to become the menace any officer would be justified in killing like a mad dog. A criminal and a fool, for John Dillinger is not smart. Only a fool thinks that crime pays. Crime never pays. John should have learned that simple truth in the Friends Church where he went as a boy, but he was too dumb. And so, 9 years after his first crime, he came out of jail just to get back in again. In his 4 months of liberty, Dillinger had identified himself as the leader in bank robberies in New Carlisle, Ohio, Farrell, Pennsylvania, Indianapolis, and Bluffton, Ohio. In Lima, he was to stand trial for the Bluffton robbery. This was in September 1933. But 2 days before Dillinger landed in the Lima jail, 10 men, jail friends of Dillinger's, shot their way out of Michigan City Penitentiary. Dillinger had engineered this break from the outside and had caused guns to be thrown over the walls to be picked up by the plotting desperados. Among the jailbreakers were 4 men of whom we'll hear later: Pierpont, Mackley, Clark, and Hamilton. These men seized a passing motor car, forced the occupants out, and sped away. No one knows their exact route, but Michigan City and its prison lay behind them, and the devil's dance was about to begin, and they were going to start. They arrived at the Lima jail 5 days later. Representing themselves as Indiana officers, the quartet demanded Dillinger. Failing to get him, they murdered Sheriff Sarber, whose son, the present sheriff, sits on the steps in this picture. They secured the keys and calmly released their pal. The 5 escaped through this side door, ran down the sidewalk, screened from the street by bushes, leaped into an automobile at the curb, and fled. The wild game was on. Crime's hyenas were loose. Scene shifts to Tucson, Arizona, 11 days later. Dillinger was found and arrested. Again, 4 months had passed since Dillinger had left jail. These officers had him safe enough, however, and his arsenal as well. Arrested also were Pierpont, Mackley, and Clark, due to their own stupidity. The 3 bandits were living at the Congress Hotel when it caught fire. Mackley and Clark offered a fireman $12 to carry out their clunks. In their rooms, the firemen saw their guns, scrutinized the thugs, recognized them, and tipped off the police. Congratulations poured in on police. Court formalities were soon over, and Dillinger was flown by plane toward the cell yawning for him at Crown Point, Indiana, where he was to face the charge of murder in the slaying of O'Malley in East Chicago. The long arm...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?